everybody! It's Northernlion. Welcome to a little bit of a channel update that will explain in one blast a lot of the content that's going to be coming up on the channel. It's not a major change or anything like that. I've just been trying to be a little bit more diligent about doing things like channel updates because I get a lot of the same questions on a week-to-week basis, if not a day-to-day basis. And it's an easy way for me to... I know I'm never going to get to the point where those questions stop. But I can at least try to get relevant details out in a video like this, and hopefully you'll glean some useful information. We'll talk about some stuff that is not really controversial. I'll give my opinions on the Dark Souls 3 launch and talk about why there's going to be a whole hell of a lot of Dark Souls 3 videos in the next 2 days. I'm going to give you a quick update on what Let's Look At's are coming up over the next little bit as well. And then I'm going to talk about a little bit of a personal thing. Not that it's a sensitive issue or anything like that, but I'm going to talk about something relating to my life at the end of the video. But I want to start by saying that there are going to be, over the next day or two, a lot of Dark Souls 3 videos. And this is related to the launch of the game and the way that Bandai and Namco have handled it. And if you're not familiar, basically, the game Dark Souls 3, it's got a staggered release. So it came out in Japan, I think on the 25th of March or something like that, so sometime last week, and it doesn't come out in North America until April 11th. However, Bandai Namco gave streamers and YouTubers early access to the game on PC, and I think whatever platform maybe they wanted, but I have the PC version, pretty much unrestricted. I mean, it's a pre-game build of it, or a pre-release build of it, so there's been some suspicion I've seen from people that maybe it's a little easier than the release build is. I have no idea, but what I'm getting at is, for all intents and purposes, it's basically a finished version of the game. But the catch was that we could only play the first third of it up to a certain boss fight I'm not going to spoil. There's not going to be spoilers for Dark Souls 3 in this video at all. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit to explain what's going on and my thoughts on it as well. But I was happy to respect the embargo. That's not a problem. And actually, I was really appreciative that Bandai and Namco reached out because you know there's going to be streamers that are importing the game from Japan or buying it. I think there's the ability to buy it on the Xbox One store in Japanese, and then you can just play it in English anyway. So I appreciate that they kind of opened up the access, although I know it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because, well, if the game is ready, why don't they just release it? Well, apparently business reasons, etc., etc. But I think they realized that they messed up a little bit because they've been trying to put the cat back in the bag, if that makes sense. Previously, until like April 8th, we were going to be able to show those videos. So I was hoping to do up to the boss fight that we're allowed to show, and then do invasions and kind of keep that going until the launch of the game when I could restart with the full retail release. But I got an email today saying that starting on April 1st, they want there to be no more videos until April 11th, and that's the launch date. So that's like a 10-day gap in coverage. So I have a lot of backlog, and I want to make sure that it actually gets out there so we can start anew when the release build comes out. I'm not actually salty about that at all. I'm not upset by that. It's been a little bit of a botched launch, and I think that they're trying to do right by the players. The players are really the people who feel betrayed. Like, although it sucks for me that I'm not going to be able to post coverage during that period, even though I was able to post coverage earlier, I have the game, so I'm not going to complain. The thing that people are complaining about is the fact that they don't have access to the game, and no talent hacks like or like me actually do have access to it. So I understand that I've got it lucky. At the same time, people have been asking me, what's your opinion on the Dark Souls 3 launch? Do you think Namco and Bandai are handling it properly, or do you think they're kind of botching it a little bit? I think the launch is fine. I think the principal problem that I have comes down to the fact that it's staggered releases. And I get that, release dates, they're going to be different in different regions for different reasons. That's just one of the things that's a reality of the situation. But all of this is caused not because of a PR bungle necessarily, but because of the fact that the game is available for everybody in North America to purchase on the Japanese store, because we live in an era where you don't have to actually import it or get on an airplane and go buy a boxed copy. I think that all of this could have been avoided if it had just been released at the same time. But I'm basically just... I'm trying to, I guess, quell a little controversy, because I know people are going to be like, whoa, there's 6 Dark Souls 3 videos today and none for the 10 days after. Where's Dark Souls 3? Well, I'm abiding by the embargo because I don't want to, make someone's life harder at PR because of a botched kind of release date. I wish that it had been handled differently. I wish that maybe it had just been... I mean, here's my ideal scenario. Give streamers the game early, because it is nice as a streamer to have it early so you can kind of get acquainted with it. Set the embargo for a couple of days before release, even if it does come out in Japan earlier. Then at least it feels like the North American streamers and the North American audience are in it together. And it doesn't feel like you have to avoid spoilers all the time. Lesson learned, hopefully. I'm not going to talk about how I feel about the game, because that's going to be considered a spoiler for many people. But I've been playing a lot of it, if that tells you how I feel about it. I hope that the launch doesn't ruin what is otherwise seeming to shape up to be a pretty great experience. But that's why there's not going to be Dark Souls 3 videos for a little while. Well, there's going to be a lot of Dark Souls 3 videos, and then there's going to be no Dark Souls 3 videos, and then there's going to be a new Dark Souls 3 series, and we're going to be playing that as a pyromancer, so I'm kind of thrown off my game a little bit. But yeah, there will be at least 3 or 4 more going up in the next 2 days. Probably on April 1st, I'll stop. So, there will be videos on April 1st. After that, I'll stop till launch. It is what it is. Don't direct any hate or, witch hunting at Namco Bandai. Particularly, the people working there in a PR capacity. I think they're along for the ride at this point. I think that they'd probably be dealing with a lot less. They'd rather be dealing with a lot less angry tweets and emails and stuff like that for decisions that may or may not be out of their hands. That's Dark Souls 3. We'll talk a lot more about that when it actually launches. Let's talk about Let's Look Ats. I've really enjoyed bringing Let's Look Ats back, and I think that we've done a pretty good job of selecting the games that have been up recently. Like Zombie Night Terror was a whole lot of fun, and Deadbolt, a lot of people were clamoring for a whole series on that. I don't think there's going to be a whole series on Deadbolt just because there's a lot of stuff coming up, and for me to continue to do Let's Look Ats as consistently as I want, something's kind of got to give in my schedule, and I think that I can't just be starting series willy-nilly with Enter the Gungeon coming out as well. If you're interested in knowing when Enter the Gungeon's going to start, I give it like a 50-50 chance of starting Friday and a 50-50 chance of starting Tuesday. It depends on some behind-the-scenes stuff basically related to game content. If it's good to go and I get the thumbs up that the game is content ready, maybe we'll start on Friday. Otherwise, we'll start on launch day. But yeah, that's going to be starting up soon, and I would expect 1 to 2 videos a day of that when we first get started. But who knows? It could be more if it's awesome, or it could peter out quickly if it ends up not having staying power. I actually haven't played that much of it. I'm trying to keep it fresh. But anyway, I'm talking about Let's Look Ats. Space Food Truck was fun, even if it didn't necessarily work well on the NLSS. Lots of good stuff played in the last week. So there are more Let's Look Ats coming up this week. The screenshot that you're seeing right now is for a first-person adventure game called Adrift, ADR 1FT. It is a VR-enabled... I don't want to call it a walking simulator. I want to be cute and call it a floating simulator. It's a little Gone Home in spacey, if that makes sense. It's like an eerie sci-fi experience where you're basically piloting your EVA suit around what is a derelict space station. Maybe not derelict. Destroyed is probably a better word. It's just gone through. This is not a spoiler, by the way. It's just gone through a catastrophic explosion or collision or something. I imagine you unravel it as the game goes on. But the principal focus of the game is kind of... basically just locomoting in your EVA suit and then getting audio logs from crew members and stuff like that and seeing how it goes. I've only put it in about an hour so far. I'm a little bit premature on my thoughts on that, but there'll be a Let's Look At of that this week. And before that, there will be a Let's Look At of the new game from Robot Entertainment. It's Orcs Must Die Unchained, which is basically Orcs Must Die 3, the tower defense, multiplayer tower defense game, actually. Plus, there's a little bit of a MOBA mode, and by a little bit, I mean actually a comprehensive MOBA mode thrown on. So it's like a free-to-play Orcs Must Die that is cooperative or adversarial, depending on how you choose to play it. Those will be going up this week. I'm going to check out Planet Coaster tonight. I got into the alpha of that, and I've heard a lot of really positive things, so there's going to be presumably a Let's Look At a Planet Coaster coming soon. And you know what? While I got this open here, why don't I just peruse the stuff that has come into the inbox recently that I've asked for, and we'll see what's going on there. There's some cool stuff I may not be able to talk about just yet. I think that's where I'm going to do it for now. I think I'm going to check out Bunker Punks as well, which is kind of like a roguelike inspired by Doom, if that makes sense. First-person shooter, but I'm not 100% sure on that, but I am meaning to check it out because those games are up my alley, if that makes sense. So definitely Adrift, definitely Orcs Must Die Unchained, soon Planet Coaster, and then soon after that probably Bunker Punks. If you're looking to get my opinion on any of those, sometime this week it'll be happening. And then I figured, it's boring to just talk about administrative stuff over the entire show. And I don't expect people to consistently watch that to just be like, oh, well, on the books today, the numbers went up 0.2%. So I wanted to share something that's a little bit of a sentimental, not sentimental, but a momentous moment for me. It's basically April, and that marks 1 full year of me actually learning how to program, which is really cool for me. I started doing it almost on a whim last year. I started taking some classes and doing some online free coursework as well to learn how to program. It's something that I've always wanted to do. I was fiddling around with a game creation engine called Construct 2, and I was like, it's a visual scripting language, like Scratch almost, so you don't need to know how to program to use it, but I was like, I'd really like to just type this and have it work instead of having to go through this. So I kind of took the plunge, and here I am a year later. So just to show you what a year in programming can actually look like. Don't expect this to be pretty. I'm a little self-conscious about sharing this, but this is not meant to be something that is released for money. It's just meant for my own learning. But this is a World Capital quiz, because I'm the world's biggest dork. So I built this in C#, which is the language that I've been operating in recently. Certainly not something I'd put on Steam, and it's built in Windows Forms, which is like an antiquated old UI framework, I guess. Usually Windows presentation forms are used now, and actually when it comes to stuff like games, those are not made in Visual. I mean, they're coded in Visual Studio, but you use Unity for the graphics. You don't just gussy up like kind of a form like this. But basically, this is I spent a couple of train rides when Kate and I were in Japan working this up to kind of test my knowledge, and in a weird way, I'm very self-conscious about it, but I'm also sort of proud of it. Oh, you can't really see. You can see if I click, but you can't see this drop-down menu. What's up with that? I can see it. So, for example, I can click on that and make American state capitals. I can click on that and make math quiz. This is just a quick quiz harness that basically you can feed text documents into, and it'll quiz you. And I was like, what better way to spend my time during my vacation than to learn that the capital of Iraq is obviously Baghdad, and the capital of Russia is obviously Moscow, and the capital of China is obviously Beijing. But what if we want to go a little harder? Maybe we want to go American state capitals. Oh, shit. The capital of Montana is Helena? Okay. The capital of Kentucky is Frankfurt? The capital of Connecticut is Hartford? Oh, okay. Just to show you what happens if you get one wrong. Oh, yeah. I've been to Billings, Kansas. It shows you the correct answer as well as the state over there. What if you want to do Canadian provincial capitals? British Columbia? Oh, Northernlion lives in Vancouver. It must be... Nope, it's Victoria. New Brunswick, I always forget. I think it's Fredericton? All right. And then I also built in a math quiz function basically here. So what's 78 times 99? This one needs a little bit of work. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's probably the largest number on there. There's no reason 75 should be an option there. 61 times 14, that'll be 854. Basically just by process of elimination here. This one needs some work. Again, this is more intended as a learning tool than anything else. Let's put this on national capitals again. A tool for me to demonstrate what I've learned, and it was actually fun to build as well. So, I mean, this is like a year's worth of progress, a little bit of formal training, and probably 10 to 20 hours of coding on the side on a weekly basis. Some weeks 0, some weeks 30 hours. So when I talk about programming in Isaac episodes, I'm putting my nose to the grindstone. This is not gonna be winning Ludum Dare anytime soon, but I am thinking about actually doing it in August. There's a game jam, a big game jam, once every 4 months. I'm not ready for the one that's gonna be in April, I think. Although truth be told, I might be able to code a really, really, really shitty game if someone else handled the art. But I think by August, I'll be able to make something, and that's pretty much full stop. I don't think I'm going to be making Papers, Please, but I might be able to make a game where you jump around and maybe even shoot some stuff in 2D. I wanted to talk about programming just a little bit to show you not only what I've been up to, but also just to say that, a lot of people ask me, they're like, hey, how are you learning programming? What do you recommend? I mean, if you're not taking it in school, I would really recommend services that are offered online that you can find on subreddits like reddit.com/r/learnprogramming. Stuff like the Helsinki MOOC. It's a moderated online something course that teaches you Java, basically from zero, and it has people that mark your assignments, people you can ask questions and stuff like that. It's got a nice online community. There's also CS50X, which is offered from Harvard, actually, but it's free, and I believe your assignments can get marked in that as well. And it's basically if you want to pay $25, you can actually get a certificate once you complete the class or something like that. But there are a lot of good online resources there that I would recommend. And usually IDEs, which is what you actually code in, are free as well. Like Eclipse for Java, Personal Build is free. Visual Studio, Community Edition 2013 and 2015 are free. You can get Sublime Text Editor and code in and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd really recommend at least checking that out if you're interested. Find out if it's for you. I'm not saying everybody should code, but it's been a really nice hobby for me to get into, to exercise my brain a little bit. Sometimes I fall in a rut when it comes to stuff like commentary, because I just keep saying the same things over and over. It's nice to break out of that pattern and do something a little bit more analytical. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of nerve-wracking to show this off. I know for a lot of you, it's nerve-wracking even though it's never going to see the light of day. Like, I'm not posting the code for this or an exe for this anywhere because it's just for my own personal purposes. Quite frankly, it's not suitable to release. It's not polished enough, but I guess everybody thinks that. But this one really isn't. I know to some of you this is going to seem like witchcraft, and then to some of you this is going to seem like it's shitty. And you're kind of both right. It's witchcraft, but shitty witchcraft. I got a lot of spells left to learn, but yeah, I'm not just typing "Hello World" into Visual Studio here. So that was kind of nice for me this year to be like, oh, it's been a year. It wasn't just like something that I started and then gave up right away, and that's cool. I'm happy to share that progress with you. I hope that was enlightening, maybe, or a little interesting to see what I'm getting up to here. And if I can do it, you can do it. If you're actually interested in programming, but you've kind of stalled for whatever reason, go check out those online resources and go and enjoy yourself and learn something. It's like solving puzzles, man. It's not all work. Anyway, there's your channel update. Adrift, Orcs Must Die Unchained, Planet Coaster, maybe Bunker Punks. And also how I feel about the Dark Souls launch and why there are not going to be Dark Souls 3 videos between April 2nd and April 11th. Really, April 2nd and April 10th, because the 11th is the launch. I hope you guys enjoyed this update. Feel free to spread this knowledge around. If you're watching an Isaac video and someone's like, where's the Dark Souls, fuckboy? You say, hey, go watch this video, or just tell them that there's this video out here. If you enjoyed it, like it. It helps me a great deal. Subscribe. I'm doing my best to be communicative here, and this is the only way you're going to see these videos. I doubt channel update is going to rank too high in searches and pull in viewers. So if you're interested in keeping abreast of the situation, click the subscribe button so you can see these delivered to your inbox. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you with a new spate of videos tomorrow.